इस प्रोग्राम में तज्जियाकारों के तज्जिये और आरा के साथ चैनल का मुत्तफिक होना जरूरी नहीं।
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Forum English edition with Javed Khan Jadoon. Forum is presented by the Suno FM network, the largest FM network of Pakistan, and Radio Pakistan's entire medium wave network. Today's topic is a very important development which took place yesterday. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia signed in Riyadh a very important agreement, defense pact, known as Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement. And under this agreement, and of course, this agreement was signed by Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir was also present at the signing ceremony. The joint statement issued after the signing of the agreement says that Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement reflects the shared commitment of both nations to enhance their security and achieving security and peace in the region and the world. Agreement aims to develop aspects of defense cooperation between the two countries and strengthen joint deterrence against any aggression. The agreement states that any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. A very important clauses of this agreement which very clearly state that if one country is attacked, it would be considered that the both countries have been attacked. Pakistan is an important military player in the region. We have seen the 4-day conflict, what kind of a result was achieved. A much greater military strength with the enemy, its size, its economy, its population, and its defense budget amounting to $86 billion as compared to Pakistan's defense budget, which is around $10 billion. And the result shocked the entire world because Pakistan literally grounded the Indian Air Force for 48 hours, as admitted by the CDS of India. And later on, what really happened with India was its total humiliation at the domestic front and as well at the global stage. The background of this particular defense pact is, of course, that the two countries already have very strong defense and military cooperation. And of course, it has nothing to do with the developments taking place around, particularly the Israeli attack on Doha and the summit held afterwards, the summit of the Arab countries and the OIC as well. So it is the result of the long negotiations between the two brotherly countries, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, and ultimately they reached that conclusion that they need to agree on a defense pact which ensures security of the both countries in a very volatile region where there are two hegemons, India and Israel, wreaking havoc with the security and stability of the Middle Eastern region as well as India in the South Asian region. This is the background and very important development. Pakistan's great achievement that Pakistan has been able to conclude, rather the two countries have been able to conclude this defense pact, which is mutually beneficial. We are joined by Air Marshal Retired Saeed Khan in the studio, and later on we'll be joined by Lieutenant General Retired Raza Mahmud Khan, former President, National Defense University, Islamabad. Air Marshal Saeed Khan, what an occasion that Pakistan has ultimately and Saudi Arabia have ultimately been able to conclude a defense pact which is mutually beneficial. And particularly if you look at this particular sentence, that the agreement states that any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against the both countries.
Assalamu alaikum, Javed sir. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this popular program of yours. I think this is a landmark achievement by Pakistan. The doom and gloom feeling which every Muslim had after the Doha summit just 2-3 days ago, that seems to be vanishing now. The Muslims expected that the summit would give some concrete steps to stop the expansionist designs of Israel. But actually, the summit declaration was very high on words, but very little on action. The Prime Minister of Pakistan, even in that summit, gave this proposal of a joint defense mechanism in the Gulf countries. But I think already backdoor conversations were going on. And what happened yesterday, because as I have a feeling, or I have been told, that the Prime Minister was called on a very short notice when all the things that were supposed to be for this defense pact were agreed upon by Saudi Arabia. The type of reception that our Prime Minister got while going to Saudi Arabia is unprecedented. No Pakistani Prime Minister has received this type of a reception earlier. It was actually reserved for presidents of America and Russia and other superpowers in that region. The second thing which came out very glaring to me, Javed Sahab, was the carpet that was laid down for our Prime Minister. Generally, when the Prime Ministers and the Presidents, they get a red carpet reception. But yesterday we got a purple carpet reception, which is again, the highest level of protocol that Saudi Arabia can forward to Pakistan. To any country, they do that. So I think Pakistan has achieved something big. These are all the results of standing steadfast and always looking for the betterment of Ummah. There were many major players in the Middle East, mainly Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, United States, and the Western countries itself. And the main spoiler these days was Israel. If you look, Javed Sahab, in the last 2 months, Israel has attacked 7 Arab countries.
Correct.
And the Muslims are getting a feeling that, we are helpless against this behemoth, which is Israel, and which is totally and blindly being supported by the US. Now, what has happened yesterday is a tectonic shift in the Middle East. Overnight, Saudi Arabia stands safe from the expansionist designs of Israel, and Prime Minister Netanyahu was, wherever he was going, he was taking that map of great Israel with him and he was trying to show it to the world, and it contained nearly half of Saudi Arabia.
As well.
That map has gone to the dustbin. Right.
Okay, Marshall says what is important to understand is that the Gulf countries, particularly United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, they tried everything to secure the American security umbrella. For example, in Trump's first tenure, Abraham Accords was signed, and these Arab countries started believing that now at least they have been able to secure themselves from any Israeli aggression because they have signed the Abraham Accords and even recognized Israel, and also the assurances given by the United States of America to these Arab allies. In his second tenure, President Trump, the first visit he undertaken was to the Gulf countries. And during that particular trip to the Middle East, about $2 trillion defense and investment deals were concluded. And once again, the Arab countries started believing that by agreeing to such deals, they would be able to, get the American security umbrella, given the volatility of the region in the wake of Israeli attacks, as you mentioned, about 5 Arab countries. If I give the facts, present the facts in front of you, and then we talk about it. The United Arab Emirates concluded $200 billion investment deal with the USA during President Trump's visit to the region. Qatar signed agreements for investments in the USA totaling about $243.5 billion. That was the investment deal announced by the White House. The two countries also agreed to deepen cooperation in artificial intelligence, $14.5 billion commitment from Etihad Airways to invest in 25 Boeing passenger aircraft. And Doha, once again, agreed to invest $10 billion in US airbase, which is situated in Qatar. And furthermore, Doha also ordered $42 billion weapons from the United States of America. And Trump announced this particular deal at the US military base in Qatar. And Qatar Airways agreed to buy 210 Boeing jets worth $96 billion. That is the kind of impetus Qatar was trying to give to the aircraft industry in the USA. Furthermore, $1 billion deal for drones, and then, of course, another deal which was, from the General Atomics. And now come to the Saudi Arabia. The biggest deals were concluded by the Saudi Arabians. $600 billion deals were agreed upon between President Trump and Mohammed bin Salman. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also signed additional 145 deals worth more than $300 billion at an investors conference attended by several US billionaires and prominent business executives. And Saudi Arabia also, Marshal Said, concluded an agreement of $142 billion, and that is the purchase of the American military hardware. Imagine the kind of investment they made, committed with the USA, and the kind of weapon deals, agreements, defense deals they concluded, and what happened exactly with them. Qatar, which was leading the negotiations, was considered as one of the most closest ally of the USA, was attacked. America said we didn't have the knowledge. So my question to you, after presenting these facts for the listeners, have they now realized in the wake of this defense pact that they can't rely on the United States of America as a reliable security guarantor, and Pakistan emerges as the most powerful, most reliable, most credible military power, so that ultimately they have understood the desire and the need to get very closer cooperation with Pakistan.
Javed Sahab, I would agree with you. The Saudis have understood this thing, and I'm sure that the Arab countries very soon, the rest will follow.
There's a possibility that UAE as well might be able to join this defense pact.
Actually, there are rumors, like you are saying, there are rumors that two Muslim other countries are also going to join this pact. Because yesterday what happened, out of the blue. There were rumors that something of this sort is being negotiated, but nobody thought that it will turn out or it will be signed so quickly. I think this is going, since yesterday, US and the West must be thinking now that their policy of blindly backing Israel is backfiring now. When Pakistan takes over the defense of this of Saudi Arabia and of this region, let's say, then Pakistan will decide that what weapons have to be bought by from the Western countries. And I think that is the biggest leverage that we are going to have over the Arabs. This has put Pakistan at the center stage. Now, till yesterday, people were thinking of us as a weak, meek, blind state of the West. But today, we are sitting with the major players in that region. Like I said, I answered you in your previous question also, Javed Sahab. We have only signed the strategic agreement at this time. When we start the process of implementing this strategic pact,
then we would be able to know.
Then we will actually be able to know that how things are going to turn out. Are we going to deploy our forces over there? Are we going to deploy our aircraft over there? Do they want our missile shield over there? Do they want our radars over there? Because Javed Sahab, the attack on Qatar, if I can just take a minute of yours.
Sure.
The attack on Qatar made some things very clear to the Arabs. The Israelis, they got airborne from south of Israel. They overflew Jordan, they overflew Saudi Arabia, they overflew UAE. They went into Qatar, bombed over there, got refueled over there and returned back. And no aircraft of theirs was picked. We all know the capabilities of F-35, but the F-35 is not that.
If you allow me, Referee General retired Raza Mahmud Khan, the former president of the National Defense University, is with us on telephone. Thank you so much, General Raza, for your time for the English edition of the forum. General Raza, as we know that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have signed a strategic mutual defense agreement in the Saudi capital, and Pakistan's Prime Minister and Saudi Crown Prince signed this landmark defense pact. It was also witnessed by Pakistan Army Chief. And the joint statement General Raza issued after the signing of the agreement says that the mutual defense agreement reflects the shared commitment of both nations to enhance their security and to achieve security and peace in the region and in the world. Agreement aims to develop aspects of defense cooperation between the two countries and strengthen joint deterrence against any aggression. And the most importantly, the agreement states that any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. General Raza, your take on it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think it's a very positive development because it's a combination of the best armed forces of the world with the ample financial resources of Saudi Arabia. And therefore, I believe this is a win-win for the national security of both countries. It actually is a reappraisal, reinformation, and formalization of the strategic partnership of the two countries, which has been going on for decades. And this has been dictated by the present security milieu and environment, not only in the Middle East and Asia, but the rest of the world. And I think it has culminated after years of dialogue between the two countries, and it is not cropped up, suddenly like that. Having said that, I think when you talk of joint strategic sort of deterrence and defense, what it means is that both countries will use selected elements of their national power to jointly deter any aggression against each other. But sometimes, deterrence fails for one reason or the other. So if deterrence fails, then both countries will come to the defense of each other. So this is what it means. And obviously, when you're talking of the defense, it includes territorial integrity, sovereignty, and some other elements of, our national security.
Right.
So what is going to go on now? I think this has been happening in the past also. We have been having joint exercises, combined exercises, collective exercises on yearly basis, alternatively between Pakistan and between Saudi Arabia. So we know, how the armed forces of the two countries operate. If you recall, during the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, Pakistan had stationed the manpower for an armored brigade group in Tabuk. And I had the honor of being a part of that brigade as well, in which the armed forces and training were provided by Pakistan. Weapons and equipment and logistics was provided by Saudi Arabia. So I think this is an ongoing process. And I think now what will happen is that probably, there will be more joint exercises, combined exercises of the Air Forces, Army, Navy, Special Forces. There will be more intelligence sharing, and there will be more exercises and training and logistics. There will be, more combined arms training. We already have, the Saudi officers training missions, both for the Pakistan Army, Navy, and Air Force, in our academies, in our staff colleges, at the NDC, at the former NDC, and at the National Defense University. So I think this is something which has happened because of the mutual understanding, mutual trust, and friendship between the two countries. And I think it will augur very well for peace, security,
And
stability, particularly, in the Middle East and in Asia. And we are aware, that there is very undeclared cooperation between India and Israel, and we saw a glimpse of that, in May, where Israeli drones were used against Pakistan. And other than that, I think Israel is supporting India in every other way. And I think this will augur very well,
Okay.
I would say once again,
Right.
for
General Raza.
Pakistan as well as Saudi Arabia.
Okay, General Raza, you very rightly pointed out that this particular defense pact is the result of a long process of negotiations between the two countries, which ultimately culminated yesterday. But it's a huge development, particularly in the wake of the volatility in the Middle East and South Asia as well. Israel has attacked about 5 Arab countries, and Qatar, of course, which was the closest American ally, wasn't spared. Now you believe that there's a level of trust has gone down between the Arab allies of the USA and Washington. And given that backdrop, now they believe that Pakistan is the credible military power which can provide that particular gap and fill the gap, being left by the US, promises not being made, promises made with the Gulf countries and not met. General
Well, I think there was in the CNN news only, I think about 40 minutes back, it says that the Gulf, and I'm quoting, the Gulf Arab states have grown wary of U.S. security guarantees in the Middle East. So possibly, that could be one reason. But the same CNN report has quoted a senior anonymous or unknown Saudi official who said that this pact is not responsive, to the recent events, or it is not directed, at any other country. So we'll have to wait and see how it actually develops further, and we'll also have to see what are the specific components of this treaty and what will be the modalities of the implementation at the strategic level, at the operational level, at the tactical level, and of course, beyond that, at the geopolitical level. And I think both countries will decide which elements of their national power are going to be included in this strategic defense pact. And I think once that is done, then I think things will be very clear. But obviously, I think it is a clear warning to the enemies of Pakistan as well as Saudi Arabia, and we all know who they are, that, there is now this joint deterrence agreement, and I'm sure, this alone would have sent a very sobering message to our specific enemies.
Thank you so much, General Raza Khan, for joining program Forum, the English edition. Air Marshal Saeed Khan, as was pointed out by General Raza Khan, that it is the result of the long negotiations between the two countries, joint exercises, military cooperation, so on and so forth. But given the volatility, the current volatility in the Middle Eastern region, of course, is a very worrying, development for the Gulf countries. Now, if we look at the insecurities which Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states are now suffering, of course, in the wake of that particular attack on Doha, U.S. President in his statement said that he has directed his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, to fast-track the defense pact between Qatar and the USA. Now, that is still on the tracks, and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia concluded this defense pact. How America would be viewing this particular development, given that this defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan were widely reported in the Israeli media?
Javed Sahab, I think they would be looking at this pact with concern, because this is, in my view, a vote of no confidence on the Americans' security guarantees in the Middle East. Like we talked in your previous program too, what else could Qatar have done to become friends with USA? You know, they gave them bases, they gave them money, they gave them contracts, they gave them everything. And yet, USA, when it came to Israel, the USA was unable to give security defense guarantees to Qatar. And that is why I am saying that this pact has implications much beyond than what we are thinking. It is much beyond defense. It is going to change the dynamics in this region. And let me assure you, Javed Saab, that as people get more and more, knowledgeable about this pact, more and more countries are going to come and join it. And we might, in a year or two, see that we might have a defense pact as NATO is having in the West.
On the type of the NATO.
Yes. Like an attack on one country would be considered as an attack on the other country.
Member countries. Okay.
If we talk of implications beyond Saudi Arabia, I would say it has very positive implications for Pakistan too. One, if you know that of late, for the last 10-15 years, we were having a feeling that we are losing ground to Indian manpower in the Gulf countries, especially Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and UAE. Now with this defense pact in place, and if the defense of the country is going to be the responsibility of Pakistan, I am sure they are going to rely more and more on the human resource that is available in Pakistan. Secondly, the Indian economy itself is based on a lot of remittances that come from the Middle East.
Okay.
Now they will like to ensure that remittances do not go down. And for that, they have to be good to the Middle East. And we being the security guarantors over there, they have to be good to us too. Because if they try to be funny with us, then the whole Middle East or Saudi Arabia would be standing against them. So, there are,
very long-term implications.
And we have a lot, and there are so many development programs which are going on over here. You very rightly quoted the defense, agreements that took place when President Trump came here. It is very much possible that after a few days we listen that the Gulf countries are now looking at the weapons which are being made by Pakistan and Turkey.
And possibly China.
Yes, and China. So there are so many good implications for both the countries that the more what I, as a Pakistani would really want is that we should not beat the drum much, but sit down like very mature people and see that what is good for the country. There are many people who are saying that we should not go into somebody else's war. But this war, which has been started by Israel, is actually not somebody else's war. It is a war against the Muslim Ummah. And we being the strongest military power in the Ummah, we have a moral responsibility to see that the Muslims are not killed so blatantly by the Israelis every day.
Air Marshal said it would be, if there's any kind of a perception that maybe Pakistan would be going to the aid of the Saudi Arabians. Rather than that, if you look at the joint statement, it says that strengthen joint deterrence, quote unquote. It is mutually beneficial. And secondly, one country attacked would be considered attack on the other country as well. So,
just look at the implications. How would you stop deterrence? You have to be there to stop deterrence.
Of course.
So you have to have your boots on Saudi soil to avoid deterrence, meaning thereby that you will have to move your forces there.
Of course, as you given the example of NATO.
Yes.
So NATO, they have got joint forces and they have got
and America has bases all over NATO countries.
And they have got joint defense budget as well.
Yes.
The budget allocations by the USA and the NATO countries combined together provide the kind of a shield, defensive shield to the European countries. Air Marshal, let me bring in the 4-day conflict. I believe that everything is embedded on the outcome of that conflict between Pakistan and India.
Of course.
Why Pakistan is being viewed as a very credible military power in the region and beyond, it is because of the outcome of the 4-day conflict between India and Pakistan. That outcome has catapulted Pakistan at a very different level at the global stage, and given Pakistan the kind of a role which I believe never was as far as Pakistan is concerned.
There should be no doubts about it.
Would it be right to say that the outcome, the 4 days, were the defining moment for Pakistan's future, and that particular outcome is given Pakistan larger than life importance and significance at the global stage?
Of course, there is no doubt about it. We are the victors of the 4-day conflict, and our victory is not, we are not, drumming it to the world. The world is telling us that you have done so much of damage to India. And the more the Indians speak lies, the more they are exposing themselves to the world. Right? So I agree with you 100%, Javed Saab, that the confidence that the world has, and especially the Middle East is going to have now on us, is because of the 4-day conflict. Because they have seen that a country which is 10 times smaller than another country is the one, which is the victor. And we are once we look at Islamic history, and I'm sure you are a scholar of that, you would find that we take, strength from those wars of Hazrat Khalid bin Walid, of Hazrat Ali Karamallah Wajho, where they were small in numbers, but they went and they became victorious over the bigger one. So all those stories are embedded in every Muslim's mind. And when we see Pakistan, a smaller country, standing up to India and winning from it, we gain that strength that yes, Muslims still have that steel in them. Muslims still have, that warm blood that we can go out, and we are not there to go and capture any country. We are there to defend ourselves. And since 7th October 2023, Muslims were in a gloom because every day hundreds of Muslims were being killed for no reason. Why should Israel, which is such a tiddly-biddly state, have that much of courage that in 2 months it has attacked 7 countries? It means that he does not even consider them worth considering. And this was a feeling which was, getting stronger and stronger in every Muslim.
Don't even care for the global condemnation as well. Keep condemning. We'll do what we want to do.
The ICJ, the ICC, the United Nations Security Council, the General Assembly, everybody voted against them, and they care two hoots about it. But now you have a country in the shape of Pakistan, which says that, okay, we should have, in Doha conference, we said that we should have a Arab Islamic defense force, just on the basis of United Nations peacekeeping forces or the NATO forces, and we should be able to deploy ourselves into Muslim countries that are being attacked by outside forces, and we should be able to have peace. Javed sir, we need to tell our viewers and listeners about this thing, that these agreements are not done to go and fight. These agreements are done to ensure that the fight does not take place.
Deterrence.
Yes. It should not take place. So we are actually promoting peace. We are not promoting war over here. But war can only be avoided when the other party thinks that the damage you can inflict on them is unbearable to them.
Is greater than the cost of the war.
Yes. So I think this is where Pakistan comes in. We are the sole nuclear power in the world, and if, let's say, if Israel thinks of altering the borders of Saudi Arabia, which is so very close to our heart because of Haramain Sharifain, all of us will like to go and lay down our lives for defending Makkah and Medina, right? So we have we have our missile shield over there, we have our own aircraft over there. I think we should be able to do this job very well.
I think you raised a very important point, that it is not the question of Pakistan going and fighting a war. It is the question of building a deterrence together with Saudi Arabia, that any aggressor should think twice that if it attacks Saudi Arabia or the other aggressor attacks Pakistan, the two will get together and put up a joint fight. I think that is the deterrence, what we define, how we define it. So I think extremely important point. Uh, Marshal says the very latest development once again signifies how the rogue state of Israel behaves in the region. And that is why we are talking about why it is such a huge development between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The American news agency AP has reported that the Israeli 10 fighter planes, they fired ballistic missiles from Red Sea over Doha. And the purpose was to evade all the defenses because Qataris have the Patriot, but they don't have THAAD. They couldn't shoot the ballistic missiles. Of course, the Americans, they have them at the airbase. I mean, it's kind of outrageous behavior that Israelis could go to that extent, firing ballistic missiles at Doha, kind of a precision attack. They believe that they always get away because of the American support. Of course, there's no other reason. American military complexes behind them, American politicians, intellectuals, members of the think tank, and bipartisan support they have got from the from the Republicans and from the Democrats as well. That's why I call it a defining moment that now the Muslim countries have started realizing that, well, let us not depend on a superpower, which is, in the past even, look at Pakistan-USA relations, Soviet invasion, and then ultimately when the Soviets were defeated in Afghanistan, Americans cut loose and run from the region. The second episode, after the 9/11, they fought for 20 years, got defeated, left the region, and then abandoned the region entirely. So that is the very reason Air Marshal said countries like Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and now even the GCC countries as well, they have started realizing that American partnership is not a very reliable partnership. So is it a paradigm shift? I'm talking about in the global context. This is not a stand-alone development, as you said, that it is going to expand further in the region, and even a NATO-type organization could come into being.
I wish and pray, Javed Sahab, that whatever you're saying materializes. The world at this very moment.
But there are very harsh ground realities now.
The harsh ground realities can only be countered with concrete actions. It cannot be, you can just not condemn and hope that the aggressor will back off. No, they will not.
Agreed.
You have to tell the aggressor that we can also inflict that much of damage on you that you'll be unable to bear it. Right? And that is where I think the GCC countries should be learning their lesson now. They thought that they could buy defense out of the money they have. But now they have realized that no, you cannot. Even if you try to buy defense with money, then that defense can be gone whenever the one who is providing you shelter has other interests. Like in this case, the Americans feel themselves more closer to Israel than they feel closer to the Arab countries. So the shield which was provided by the Western countries has actually gone. Pakistan, on the other hand, has shown to the world now that you have to believe in your own human resource. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. It may be a difficult journey to go, but you have to be strong yourself. Where we reached, Javed Saab, in May 2025 was a 80 years old journey. We did not reach this strength overnight. It was not only our motivation which made us win that war. It was our expertise. It was our professionalism. It was the way we planned, executed, and then won that war.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is where I think Pakistan comes out as that shining example in the Muslim world that yes, there is a country which has an excellent human resource. It has an excellent base on which it can provide Muslims the strength that is needed at this time. And the way, like you have very rightly, Javed Sahab, highlighted, that the geopolitics which is happening in the Middle East has been very depressing for the Muslims for the last 2-3 years. And I think the only answer was what our Prime Minister offered in the Doha conference, and that was that the Muslim countries have to join together to defend themselves. This is the first step, Javed Sahab. And I hope and pray, like you are saying, that, we turn into a bigger pact. More countries come in and we show a joint defense against the aggressors.
Correct.
That are not letting peace prevail in this region.
Marshal Said, I believe it's going to be a very serious setback for President Trump's diplomacy in the region. Why? It was reported by Wall Street Journal that, American authorities at different level and possibly President Trump was aware that Israel is going to strike Doha. And now, once again, the American news agency AP has reported that these were the ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles are always detectable given the surveillance the Americans have in the region, the kind of satellites they have. Ballistic missiles are visible to satellites. Of course, now it proves the fact that Americans were aware of it. Now, President Trump's plausible deniability is going to blow back on the American policies in this particular region, because now the Arab countries are extremely convinced that Americans did know that, and they failed to inform or alert Qatar. And it was reported that, in fact, Turkey reported or alerted the Qataris that the missile strike is going to take place, and the Hamas leadership was evacuated from there. So, won't you agree that this is a very myopic U.S. policy that running with the air and hunting with the wolves? Why don't they realize that this is not the kind of a world where they can do whatever they want to do and there will be no reaction?
I think the Americans played their hand wrong. They thought that they will be able to subdue the Arabs to submission, and
give Israel carte blanche.
Give them a free hand, and they will bring everybody down to their knees, not realizing that every action has equal and opposite reaction. I think I would say that I would praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over here, that He has, turned tables on them. I think the cries of the children who died in Gaza is now coming to fruition. And I wish and pray that, the Arab countries, they wake up, they realize their potential. They are all great countries. They have all great history. They have all great human resource. If they all get together,
in fact, cradle of civilization.
Yes. And if we have peace in that region, right, I think that is going to bring wonders, or it will bring more benefits to the world. And if Pakistan can be a part of that, bringing peace in the most volatile region of today, I think we will be doing a great job.
So I think, can we say that the main takeaway of this discussion is that Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, they have created the kind of a deterrence which wasn't there before this defense pact was signed. The deterrence which ensures that Saudi Arabia will not be attacked, and if any foolish act is done by the Israelis, they will be punished, and they will be punished beyond their imaginations. So this deterrence is going to work, and hopefully the other countries of the region, they do realize that now relying on a superpower, which has a very, the track record, which is not very enviable. So I believe that they do realize that their national interests lie in collective defense rather than individually getting hit by the Israelis.
I fully agree with you, Javed sir. And let's hope so. One prayer I would like to have is, for the last 2 days, Israel has landed its land forces in Gaza, and they are now moving towards the center of it. Let's pray that
they have destroyed every remaining building, any structure which was standing there.
Let's pray that before the United Nations General Council meeting, they do not capture Gaza completely, and there is no Palestine to be recognized. So let's hope so that stage does not come, and Israel is wise enough to back off.
Thank you so much.
Otherwise we have a big war at hand.
Thank you so much, Marshal Said Khan. Listeners, with this we come to the end of the show. This is Javed Khan Jadoon saying Allah Hafiz.